Hey girl, you're tuned into the Grace Code podcast. I'm your host Lisa, and this is a show all about unlocking Jesus in the everyday. What's the everyday? Well, it's things like your faith, career, relationships, health, and so much more. I pray that this podcast leaves you inspired and passionate to find Jesus as you go about your everyday and encourages you to step out of your comfort zone and step into the things that God is calling you to. Hi girls, and welcome back to the Grace Code podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm Lisa, and today I have one of my favorite people in the world, Sylvia from the Instagram account Tear the Veil, sitting right across from me. And I am super pumped to have you here.
It's going to be super exciting.
How are you? I feel like it's been months since I've seen you last.
It actually has been. It's been, I think, a whole minute. It's been a whole 6 months.
It's been a hot minute.
A hot minute. No, I've been good, doing well, thank God. Yeah, and I'm actually really, really excited for this. This is my first time being on a podcast.
Oh, well, welcome. So, hopefully you enjoy it.
No, it'll be good. It'll be really good. I'm very, very excited and pumped to kind of share some good insight, wisdom, experience, and anything else you want to know. And it'll be really fun.
Yeah. Well, today I guess we've got something a bit fun. Would you say?
A bit fun, a bit different, a bit more personal, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of a get to know you sort of a
That's a great
feel.
way.
Get to know you.
Get to know you. So it's actually get to know me.
Yeah, not me. It'll be get to know the actual host. As you can tell, we love having fun and we always laugh our heads off when it comes to Lisa and I.
Yeah, we're a bit wild. We just worked out like we'd known each other for like 13 years.
Yes, 13, 14 years. I think it was when I was 15 years old.
And I was not 15.
You were not 15.
I refuse to say how old I was because it would now let everyone know.
What do you mean, you're 20-somethings?
I was.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my 20-somethings. That's such a gracious way to share.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
Whoever came up with that is amazing.
Oh, 100%. But like, yeah, it's been a while and I'm pretty much like part of your family.
Yeah.
Like,
basically like another daughter.
Yeah, that's all right. Your mum appreciates the mouth to feed, I'm sure.
Yeah. She'll be like, oh, come Lisa, come. But yeah, no, Lisa's very close to our family because we've literally known each other for so long and the amount of times we've been in each other's lives. So fun fact, I actually used to be Lisa's intern in one of her businesses.
You were?
That was how long ago was that?
I think it was like 2013 or 2014.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Look,
so
I probably have records of it somewhere, but we won't find out now.
Sylvia was an intern. Yeah. Yeah. No, so that was when you had your More Than Paper business. So it was a stationery business.
Yeah.
Little boutique.
It was.
I think it was a boutique.
It was a little boutique.
It was so bespoke, so so elegant. And I used to intern. So I used to do a lot of admin. That's kind of where I found my passion for small businesses and marketing as well.
Oh, amazing.
So it did start off with that. And then it kind of gave me a insight into small businesses, working from small offices too. Well, actually, it was a pretty big office. No, it was pretty big.
Lounge room.
Yeah. It was a great lounge room.
Yeah. We had a few desks in there actually.
So much content creation went in there as well. And people used to end up messaging me on my personal Instagram and they'll be like, oh, that's an awesome studio. I'm like, yeah, it is, isn't it? Like legit.
And I'm there like complaining about it going, oh my gosh, it's so ugly. I need something
Mom, keep it down in the kitchen. Stop, I'm recording. Yeah.
Actually though. Like,
it's legit.
So I actually had my business out of my mum and dad's house.
That's usually where they start though. So that you're on the right track.
Why spend money on rent when you don't have to? Like, honestly,
when the lounge room is just as good.
Business tip number 1. If you're starting a business,
start from home.
Exactly. 100%. Take that how you want. That's my tip for the day.
Yeah. So that's kind of where it sort of started. No. I'm jumping the gun now. How did we first meet? That's the question.
We first met in the year, was it 2009 or 8? It was either 8
I'm
or
terrible
9.
with dates.
Clearly, yeah, I don't remember how old I was, so that's why I can't mark where it was. But you guys just kind of randomly came to something one night.
It was a prayer meeting.
24-hour prayer meeting.
Exactly. And we rocked up.
Yes. And I don't remember who you knew.
One of the boys there
Yeah.
we knew from church.
Yes.
And he knew that or my sister mainly, I just followed my sister around because she was just so cool.
I hope you're listening, Viv.
Yeah, you better
so
be
cool.
listening. And I was basically just following her around, and she was heavily involved in prayer and things like that. And so one of our friends was like, "You need to come to this 24-hour prayer meeting. It's going to be amazing." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And we literally rock up, and it was just like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, what is going on? And then there were people praying, and I was like, okay, I'm getting a bit overwhelmed. I'm going to go, in the kitchen. And then I don't know how we ended up under the table.
I don't know, but I walked in and this little girl is sitting under the table like freaked out. And I'm like, I better speak to her and just check in on her. And we sat there for hours.
Yeah, me, you. And then Ash kept
came.
coming in, and
Yeah.
we're like, hi, how are you? I'm like, good. So what are you doing under the table? Just chilling. I think I found some food or something.
Yeah, there's probably food in there.
And then everything revolving food, I'm there.
Amen.
Yeah, and then I think we sat under the table for hours,
Yeah.
and we started talking. We started to get to know each other.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, we were like best friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's how it started. And then I think I don't know if we regularly went to that. No, we didn't go to that church.
No, you didn't.
No, but we did meet with that event.
Yes.
We went to another event.
So that was a gospel hip hop concert that
Yeah.
was put on. And one of them, like, you came and crushed our place.
Yeah, so
Because we ended up being like your big brother and sister.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I literally used to go to each one, and I
Yeah.
knew that you guys were there, and I was
So
like,
your mum
oh,
trusted
awesome.
us and
Yeah.
loved us. So she
I was still
like,
a teen, so going to these events as well. So
Yeah.
not that it was anything bad. It was a gospel.
No.
It was a
Yeah.
gospel hip hop event.
It was a big outreach pretty much.
Yeah,
Which was
yeah.
awesome. We saw so many kids' lives change
Yeah.
through that, which was great. But
Yeah, it was amazing. And I think from there we just developed a really good friendship, and then you started getting into more than paper, and then I think I jumped along, and I was like, oh, I want to soak up all the information and get some experience under my belt.
I can't remember if it was around then or not. I think you were doing year 12 and you're like, I'm doing business. I want to get into small business and international business and all these different business management things.
Yeah.
And I was like, great. If you have any questions, let me know. And then here you are interning for me, which was really fun. It was so good.
It was some good times.
Yeah.
I mean, like half of the time we were either eating or being creative and talking about, crazy ideas
Totally.
and then like finding inspiration. And
Pinterest was
Pinterest
great.
was amazing. But like going into that space, it was so good to have that creative space, and that's such a pretty area as well that you can go in and be like, oh, yep, I'm going to do thank you cards today.
Yeah.
I've got 150 craft cards to our fold today.
I feel like that's a bit of trauma there. Do we need to discuss that?
Yeah, maybe later.
Okay. We'll take it outside.
And but it was so good. Like it was an amazing insight to get an idea of how all these things happen, because on Instagram, it only shows one side of everything.
So
and then
true.
when you go there, you're like, this is not what I expected. That whole area, it literally was just a corner that was like perfect for Instagram. But then you go and
The
you're like,
rest of the house was
the rest
not.
is like, this is in a huge house. Like what?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it was totally
true.
different, but it was good. It was an eye opener to the world of that wedding and, stationery and boutique industry.
And it's so true what you just said about Instagram is like this little square. And it's so true because in our life, we can so sometimes jump on there and compare everything that's going on in our life with Instagram. It's like, well, hold up. Instagram is just a highlight reel. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, it doesn't show the mistakes, doesn't show
the
the
messy,
ugly. Yeah, it just shows the perfect little curated square.
Yeah.
Exactly what we want people to see. And then when we melt down and things go bad, everyone's like, why did that happen? It looked perfect.
Yeah.
But you only saw one side, which is where we really start to kind of, fall apart, and we're like, oh my gosh, how did that happen?
Yeah. And I think that's so great into what you do as well. Like you guys over at Tear the Veil, which will probably from now on say TTV.
TTV is just so much more better to say than, Tear the Veil. because a lot of the times it does become a tongue twister.
It does.
Tether
But we'll get there.
Tether rail. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, you've got it down pat.
I've got it
though.
down pat because I say it so many times,
Yeah.
but TTV, yeah.
That's how I'm rolling. But yeah, like you girls over there are just so raw and so real. And it's awesome just what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we're, as you probably can tell, we're not really about the masking perfection. We're really about just being real, being raw, kind of just being the person that you would see in real life.
Yeah.
I think we're missing so much of that realness online as opposed to in everyday life. Like we always try and strive to be that perfect person, but you know, let's be real, what is perfection?
100%.
So,
And I think, you know, in this day and age, people are actually so sick of that highlight reel and are so sick of seeing the mask. That's just like, actually, can you just be real and vulnerable for a minute? Like I want to someone I can relate to, and I'm going through messy stuff. So tell me there's someone else that's going through messy stuff, but maybe they're coping a bit better, or maybe they've learnt something from it that I can take and apply to my life 100%. As well.
They can shed some light on the actual situation, because a lot of the times it's a highlight reel. So it's only going to show you the good stuff and it's not relatable. Like I'm having a crappy week. Is anyone else having a crappy week? Like you do want it. You do want someone to look at and be like, okay, cool. They've gone through it. I can go through it too. So it's like, I'm pretty sure we put up a post about it, about lighthouses. So we said, you can be the lighthouse for someone else who's about to go through what you just went through. And so, you know, there's a reason for your scars. So someone else doesn't receive that scar as well. So I think it is so powerful when you step out in courage, because it is confronting sometimes to face those fears that you know, just freshly went through, or you just tried to kind of get rid of or try and jump over that hurdle. So there is a lot of courage in trying to face that, but you know, you can do that for the next person. You can step out in faith and be that beacon of hope for that person. And whether you know it or not, you are. And that's the thing that's crazy, is that, you know, we think, oh no, what we're doing is so insignificant. No one's watching. You'd be surprised. There's someone always watching you, whether you know it or not. And it's like, we have to kind of shake ourselves, and, you know, sometimes I need to be, you know, I need someone to just hit me on the back and go, no, Sylvia, like, keep going and keep doing what you need to do. So, you know, for anyone who is stepping out in faith, that is amazing. And to keep going, like have the courage and be persistent and keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just awesome. A little snippet.
I know, that is a little snippet. We kind of went a little bit off track, but that's
totally
okay.
Off track.
It was awesome.
Let's reel back in.
It. We will reel it back in, I guess.
So this interview, we're going to ask Lisa some questions, and she's going to give us some answers.
Did you pull these questions from social media?
Potentially.
Awesome.
But we're going to go into the general. So we want to get to know a little bit about you, a little bit about the Grace Code, and really just kind of get a feel and an idea of what listeners will be introduced to over the next coming months, weeks, years. But let's start off with the general question that we always get, because, you know, if you're in a job interview or if you're in a podcast interview, everyone gets these questions.
Why am I scared?
Just wipe the sweat off. Breathe.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Lisa.
Oh, that's very like who wants to be a millionaire? When you're like, and they like zoom in. Nah, let's just be chill. Okay, great.
Okay, tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, you all know my name. I'm a very actual boring person.
You're not boring. No, you're not boring.
No, I'm not. Oh, I really always get put on the spot with this question.
How stumped do you get? Like, so when someone goes, tell me a bit about yourself, you're like,
what do you want to know exactly?
How old I am? Am I a girl or am I a boy?
Where do I live?
Where do I live? Like,
what do I do?
Yeah,
like, what do you want to know? Well, I guess I'll start with I'm married.
Yes, that's a big one.
I have a dog.
Yes, you remembered that. Yes.
I'm in Melbourne, Australia.
Good, yeah.
I founded the Grace Code.
Okay, tell us about your journey to, or how you came to know God.
Oh, yeah. Wow, my testimony kind of.
Yeah, like a testimony.
Ooh. Well, I was actually raised Catholic.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Everyone's very confused when I tell them that because I'm Italian in background.
Yes.
Like my parents are Italian, and so that's kind of the Italian thing.
Yep.
Being Catholic. And so I went to like Catholic primary school, Catholic high school, and it's really weird because I feel like I was always in some way drawn to God. So like I don't know if you've ever been to a Catholic like church service, they've got like what they call like the altar kids who assist the priest on the altar, whether it be like carrying the Bible or just doing all these different things. And I actually did that for a bit. I don't know why or how I got into that, but I did. And, you know, I was in like the school choirs and things like that. Fun fact.
Really?
Oh, yes, I was.
I didn't know any of this.
Don't get me to sing now, though, because I would sound terrible.
Please sing.
Okay. No, I won't. I won't put you all through that. That's for sure. Yeah. So during high school, you know, you don't kind of just lose your way a little bit and your identity and not really sure who you are. And things just, I guess, creep in, whether that be like insecurities and doubts and fears. And they kind of stick to you, even though like no one may have been saying stuff to you. If you think it kind of just sticks in there and it doesn't matter what you do, especially at that young, impressionable age when you're not really sure how to walk through those seasons of life. Like you just don't know who to turn to. What if they're just saying it because they feel like it's the right thing to say, like they don't actually mean it and stuff. So I kind of went through that kind of journey and was pretty lost. And then I finished high school and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. Yeah, I had like probably a lot of distractions in high school. So as much as I did like pretty well in my VCE still, because I was type A perfectionist.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Really like
makes sense with more than paper
myself,
though. Yeah.
Pressure and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I like kind of had a like small passion. Well, it wasn't really a small passion. It was probably the best subject I did in VCE, which was food tech and hospitality.
Oh, wow.
And things like that. Yeah, just, you know, I was a pretty good cook.
If I do say so myself.
Just being modest. And so I thought, well, I don't want to actually be a chef because hours are terrible. You know, that's not really what I want to do. But I'd love to do something to do with health and food. And I thought being a dietitian. But my careers counsellor was like, no, it's not really for you.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. Because back then in the early 2000s,
I think we can guess the age now.
Look, I said early. I didn't say the year. Okay. But, you know, there was, I guess, a kind of stereotype when it came to a dietitian. Like they looked a certain way, they did certain things, and I didn't really fit that mold. And so they were kind of like, oh, and you also didn't really do sciences for your subjects, so you're just not going to get in and stuff. And I was like, wow, okay, well, what am I going to do? So I was like, well, I'll just copy half of my family and get into like law or, you know, get into something that'll get me into law, and I'll just be a lawyer because I have no other ambition really and don't know what to do. And apparently I'm going to be like people and just do that.
Yeah.
And
wow.
So the year after year 12, I took a gap year and worked in a law firm and did not really love it.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I took a gap year, did like a business administration certificate with it, like apprenticeship, they would call it. So I did that and I was there, I think for 10 months and I just did not really like it. So I was like, okay, I don't want to go really and do that. So instead of going into like the legal studies avenue at the uni I'd gotten into, instead of taking that course, I just took a general arts course. And because I had no real ambition, no real sense of direction, I was a bit like, why am I even doing this? And started really slacking off, partying really, really hard and just failed semesters. Like it just, yeah. So I'm like, well, why am I paying for something that I'm not even attending? I'm not even trying. I'll just step back and reevaluate what the heck I'm doing. And during that time as well, I had a bit of something happened in the family and I didn't realize until like years later that I think I slacked out a lot at uni because there was probably a bit of trauma there. There was like a bit of fear, anxiety over that issue.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to be always present in that issue rather than everything else because I wanted to try and be like have some form of control, whether or not it was like me just knowing what was going on kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. This got really serious. Anyway.
It's good though. It's good. At least you kind of, it's funny how when you go over certain things and certain stories and experiences, when you talk about it, you actually pick up things that you never would have thought
100%.
about when you were going through, or even like directly after.
Yeah.
So, 10, 20 years from now, we'll look back and we'll be like, oh my goodness, I just figured something else out that might have been traumatic, or maybe that was, a generational thing that I've just figured out. So, it's amazing when you go over certain experiences.
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting. And, so from there, it was getting close to my 21st birthday, I think. Don't do the numbers, people.
I won't.
And so I kind of it may have been my 20th. And I was like, gonna be like 21 soon, like, in a year. What do I actually want to do with my life? What's one thing that I could do, like, and just pick up as a hobby just to get my head straight? And I was like, I always wanted to do like dancing. And so I found a school in the city. And I remember going in there one Saturday, not like, doing it as a little kid, but nothing too serious. Like, you see these competitive dances. Yeah. I was not one of those. I was just like the kid that would love it for fun kind of thing. So I've gone into the city to this first like thing, super like self-conscious, super in my head, was like, no, I'm going to fight this. I'm just going to do it.
Wow.
And so did the first class, loved it, kind of kept going back, and then kept kind of adding classes to what I wanted to do. And then I was like, well, can't really pay for classes because I'm not working, because I was just kind of all over the place. So I'm like, I need to get a job so I can still do these classes. And so then I got a job in the city, bizarrely in another law firm, because I had administration experience, but I wasn't actually doing stuff in the office. It was this whole other thing that I was doing for them. And so like that was okay. It was a bit stressful when things would go wrong and stuff, but it paid for my classes. And I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. And then I was always at this dance school pretty much that like eventually they were like, do you want to do like some work for us and all this kind of thing? And I was like, yep, okay, sure. Then I became really good friends with the receptionist there, and she's still one of my like best friends to date. And we were literally like sisters. Like I would stay there, sleep over the night. I'd go off to work, then I'd come back in the night to do classes, sleep there if it was super late and things like that. My mum was like, what is this girl doing? Like, she is wild. I have no control over her. And I was very stubborn 20-year-old. I was like, no, you don't have control over me. I was a brat. Straight up, I would tell you that. And so then, funnily enough, it was like the start of the next year. And when we came back from Christmas holidays, all the teachers were like different. And I was like, what? So different. And they all started talking about church. And what I didn't know was the owners of the dance school were actually Christian.
Oh, wow.
And so they'd been like praying for like all like revival to break out in their dance school. And all their teachers like became Christian. And so because I ended up becoming really, really close with one of the teachers, and I would just be talking to her all the time just about going through, and she was like, you should come to church. And I was like, no, thanks. No, you trust me. You should really come to church. No, thanks. Like every time, like all she would do is like, come to church, come to church, come to church. And I was like, oh my gosh, would you stop? Like, I know who the Lord is. I'm Catholic. It's fine. Like, I was so stubborn. And so one day we were doing like a audition in the school or something, and I was doing admin and kind of sorting stuff out. And she's like, you know what? We're all going to church afterwards. Come hang with us. You come to church and we'll all go to dinner. And I was like, oh, fine. It's going to stop you on my back, like whatever. I'll just give in. I'm like, I'll just go there. And what's really funny is me and someone used to always make fun of Christians.
Oh, you were one of those people.
I was one of those people. And it's really funny how the Lord just slaps you.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
So I walked into the church and literally was in the foyer and burst into tears.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the foyer.
In the foyer.
Jeez.
Like,
what came over you? Like what did you feel?
I was so overwhelmed. And now I know it's like Holy Spirit. But then I was just so overwhelmed with a peace.
Wow.
And like a love that I never, ever, ever experienced or felt. And I was just like, the heck.
Did you just walk in like, did anyone talk to you, or was it just
people like walking in, like, you know how they stand at the doors, greeters, always like, hey, welcome to church. Da, 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 da. And I was with people that they kind of knew anyway. So they were all speaking to them, and I was just kind of this bewildered person that was just like trying to hold back the tears. And we walked in and I was like, I am not moving from I'm not sitting at the front. I sat in the very back row. And the whole entire service, I was in tears, like in the chair.
That's
I couldn't stand up. couldn't do anything. I was in tears. And like that service, like I was saved. And then I stayed for the service afterwards because I was like, and by then they were like, no, we're going to sit in the middle for this service.
Yeah,
so
just like, slowly work your way up.
I'm like, okay, I'll sit in the middle. And so
next week, guys, I'm in the front row.
Yeah,
I made it
that
there.
took a while, but yeah, we kind of do sometimes. Like every week's in the front row now, but that's okay. That's a whole other story. But
so good.
Yeah, so I guess that was kind of it, like without getting into too much detail.
No, but it's amazing to hear everyone's story, I guess, of how they came to know God and the experiences.
Yeah.
Because it's just so interesting to hear how one person's story is totally different from another.
Totally.
And when you think, oh, that would never happen to me, probably is going to happen to you now. Like, look, it's crazy.
Look, to say I had to do a lot of repenting is an understatement. It was so bad. Especially like literally like the Christmas before, there was like somebody on the TV doing carols by candlelight that I knew was Christian, and I was sitting with somebody and we were making fun of them. And then like, 4 months later, I'm like down the front of an altar call.
You're one of them now.
So like I'll have a conversation with this person. They'll be like, you are one of them now. And I'm like, you have no idea, but like you need to come to church.
Yeah,
It'll
exactly.
be amazing.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
It's the experience you need to meet God.
Yeah, 100%.
So good.
So funny. Like what you've heard so far? Make sure you never miss an episode by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible because of listeners like you. Thanks for your support. Now let's get back to the show.
The in-between then, tell us about as well so we spoke a bit more about your spiritual, I guess, development and things like that. But during that time, what were you doing after your law, I guess, phase in your life? Like when did you and how did you start the whole business journey?
Oh, the business journey.
Yeah.
So that came really randomly. I ended up, so after I was saved, I decided, I don't want to do law. Like that's a definite. God kind of challenged my heart with some of the stuff that was happening in the dance school at the time. So I kind of stopped dancing, and I was at a different church, and at that time I had already started a diploma in music business management because I was doing some marketing stuff for the dance school, and I thought, I love putting on concerts. I love doing that. Let me learn about that kind of business side of things. And I remember my lecturer for accounting, I think it was, he was like, if I don't meet you in like 10 years time and you don't have some sort of like entertainment, dance school, drama school or something, like, I'll be so disappointed. And here I am, like completely different path now.
Wow.
So it was so funny because I'm like, I don't think I really ever wanted that, but I loved events. Like I loved putting on an event.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I don't really know what to do with it. And so at this other church that I was at, one of the people were quite a prominent musician and was always putting on events.
Yeah.
And we spoke about that gospel hip hop concert. Like we ended up meeting the founders and they needed help with the event. And I kind of just started out helping with that. And in that process, someone from this church was like, hey, I heard you're looking for work. We've got an opening at my work. It's just admin data entry, but it might help you get along with like, what you're doing. And I was like, yeah, I need money. I'll go. 24 hours. I had the job and I was working there. But then like sometimes, when you're early on your walk with God, like you don't necessarily have that awareness to kind of go with him for everything and check things off with him for everything.
Yeah.
And especially if you're still learning about what it means to have a call, what it means to have a purpose, what it means to be on the journey God wants you on, and you kind of just are still independent and making your own yes, no decisions and things like that. And so it wasn't that it was a bad decision, like it was a great decision because it kind of got me onto this path, but I don't know if it was like a God decision. Because actually like the day I got saved, he put on my heart to go to Bible college straight away. And I was like, whoa, that's massive. Like I don't know what to do with that because I don't know what to do. Like I've just walked into a church and you're telling me
to do
like,
this.
Why do I have this? And I don't even know that's like God's voice. I'm like, why do I have this idea all of a sudden that I want to do that? Is that even a thing? Like, what the heck? Anyway, so I started in this admin role, and then when you just kind of get stuck somewhere?
Yep.
That's what happened. So I was there for like 3 and a bit years because I just kept getting on contract extensions and then they'll put me on like permanent part-time while I was doing stuff. And I was like, I'm still here and I don't really want to be here. And during that time, I kind of started doing a bit of graphic design work for these events, like doing flyers. And I was like, maybe I can look at doing something like that. So I was looking for just like internships that were paid that I could jump into, which were actually really hard to find for someone that wasn't graduating out of a design course and things like that. And so I actually came across a job that was right around the corner from my house that was in a wedding stationery shop.
Yes, I remember this.
And so I was like, anything to get me out of this administration job. Like I was pretty desperate. So I was a bit more of a mature Christian at the time, but I didn't, again, seek the Lord on it. So if there's one thing I'm going to tell you girls, seek the Lord on everything. Because I went to this job and I got the job and I was literally there for, I don't even know if I made it to my 3-month probation. Like the boss was like a bully. I would go home nearly every night in tears. I had to travel to another store one day and someone on the train like pushed me and I like rolled my ankle and I was like, I'm stuck on the other side of Melbourne and I have no idea where I am.
Was that when it was near?
It's Werribee.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, I was super stressed out and I was just like, I'm done. And so the tipping point was probably them wanting me to create some things because they'd seen a portfolio of stuff that I had done. And she was not going to pay me like the proper stuff that I should have been paid. And I was like, why am I doing this when I can do it for myself? Like, I know how to do this. Like, why don't I do this for myself? And so out of that time, I like went home and I was like to my husband, I'm done with that job. I'm going to do my own business. And he was like, yeah, I don't know why you don't. Like, just do it.
Typical.
Yeah. It's like, all right, let's register a name. And I was like, what the heck am I going to call it? Like, and so that's when I came out with Le Petit Boutique.
I do remember that.
Yeah, so that was what it originally started at. And it was just solely like wedding stationery or event stationery. And it was just like really handmade, really unique kind of little things. And actually did really well. And then came to a point where I was like, I need to rebrand. This is not really who I am. It was just kind of done spur of the moment. And I kind of want to expand out with what I'm doing. And I obviously did a lot more study in graphic design and branding and logos and business and came up with the brand More Than Paper.
Yes.
So that is, where some people may or may not know that brand, but that was me. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird journey when I speak about it like this.
Yeah. More Than Paper was like, for me, it was kind of like one of the starting points for my journey. Because I do remember that was like my entry into the whole wedding industry. And I did a lot like of wedding stuff after More Than Paper. And even throughout it, like a lot of the stuff that I did afterwards was because of More Than Paper. And there was so many things that More Than Paper did. Like it was stationery and then it incorporated, like it was a lot of different things. It was almost like a one-stop shop for wedding.
Yeah, 100%. And then I kind of wanted to like open up a bit more and get into prints and art prints. And then we really went into like the branding direction because I started to feel a real pull towards like female entrepreneurs and what they were missing in their business and doing stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty great.
Awesome. Yeah. Did it now More Than Paper continued for a while, didn't it?
It did. So in 2015, I actually hurt my back. And that took me out for 9 months, which was pretty shattering. Like I couldn't actually walk or do anything. And so that kind of brought on a whole heap of like mental, physical, spiritual battles that I had to deal with. And during that time, I kind of had a couple of clients that I could still get someone to help me with some production of things.
Yep.
I couldn't do anything myself, but a lot of my clientele I was like, I'm so sorry, I can't do this, but I can recommend this person.
Yeah.
They'll be able to take on the job. A lot of my marketing that I would do for weddings dropped and we kind of got into 2016 and I was like, let me do another like refresh of the brand, relaunch, really pump it because my back was better. I was walking again and I loved design and stuff and business and I just could not pick it back up. And I loved this new branding and it was amazing. And I really wish the world could have seen it.
Yeah.
But I really felt the Lord was like, that season's over.
Yeah.
And I was like, really?
That's crazy, isn't it?
Like, really? I really love it, but okay.
Yeah.
Because, if your business isn't really successful, there does come a time when you're kind of like, okay, maybe it is time to pull the pin because you end up throwing so much time, effort, resources into it and it's just not getting a return. And you're kind of like, I could do this all day.
Yeah, but it's running at a deficit. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you want to be successful, not necessarily in terms of what the world would classify as successful, but just even for yourself and go, hey, I did it and it was great.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I'm like, I'm doing this and I'm draining myself and I'm getting really frustrated and really down. Why am I doing this? And it was like, I think it's just time to end the season. I was like, I don't want to, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Some things you just got to give it up if he says it.
Yeah. But what I've learned, like every skill that I had in that, I've been able to transfer over into anything, which has been great. So,
wow.
I know how to do all my own logos. I know how to do graphic design stuff, put things together, website. So that saved me a lot of money in other ventures that I've gone down because I'm like, I can do it myself, which is also really bad because I'm really fussy, indecisive. I don't really know what word we're going to go with, but I'm type A.
Indecisive. Let's say indecisive.
I think I send you like 4 logos per thing I'm doing. Like, which one do you think conveys this more?
You're like, no. What do you think?
Like, no, I'm asking you to make the decision. Can't you tell?
That's usually how a text goes.
Yeah, literally.
That's
I'll be
awesome.
like, okay, so I've got this one. What do you think? Perfect. That is the one I would choose.
Smack bang. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Reconfirmed.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did mention as well during it that you are married.
I am. Yeah.
How did you meet? Your husband's name's Ash.
It is.
How did you meet Ash? Because when I met you, you guys were together. You guys were dating.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm not sure how far into it you were dating.
Ooh, so we met September 2007. Again, don't do the maths, people.
No, I really am at a loss. I don't even know how old I am right now, to be honest.
And you heard us mention about like this gospel hip hop concert. We actually met there, like at
no
the
way.
end.
Oh, sorry. Really?
You know this story.
No, was it at that?
One of them, yeah.
No.
Yeah. So my friend who was the receptionist at this dance school knew someone that was singing at this event. So she was like, hey, there's this event.
Oh,
it's clicking. It's clicking. There's this event. It's Christian. It's hip hop. This is you. You have to come. And I was like, I actually had, funnily enough, did I have it or did someone else have it? Someone had a sore back. There was 3 of us. I can't remember if it was me or someone else. And they were like, nah. And I think I was sleeping at this girl's place that night. So I was a bit like, oh, if she's not going, then I can't go. And then this girl's like, no, this is a spiritual attack. I'm going to pray and we are going to go. I was like,
amen.
Yeah. So I was like,
sister.
okay, we're going. And so obviously this guy was trying to get this girl. And so he was like, hey, let's hang back. We'll do all the pack down. We'll all go grab dinner.
You know the church lingo.
Yeah.
I can pack all those chairs, honey. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Maybe not honey, but like, I can pack all those chairs. Watch me lift.
Watch me lift. So it was like, oh, okay, we're hanging back. And then they're like, actually, girls, can you help us pack down? Because it will be quick. And I was like, I did not come here to pack down a room. Like, for real. It's been open and honest. Anyway, so I went backstage and grabbed something. And there I met Ash. And no, it was not love at first sight. It was like, who the heck do you think you are? Because he made this like really smart aleck remark to me. I was like, dude, who are you? Like, I'm like this short little feisty Italian girl, still like freshly saved. Oh. Yeah, okay, still short, haven't grown much, or if at all.
Oh, so good. That's what I thought you were going. I was like, you're still like short.
Now I know what you really think. But yeah, I was just like, I don't know who this person is. And so then we ended up going to dinner and then they were like, hey, hang back. We're going to go play pool. I'm like, okay, we'll hang back because, you know, it's still early. No one can see that.
It was early.
I'm doing like
she's abbreviating the talking marks with her fingers. What early?
I think it was like 9:30 or something. No.
Geez, that's late. Actually, it's not.
No, that's a lie. I feel like it was actually late because we would have finished by 9:30.
Yeah, usually they finish 9:30.
Packed down would have been 10-ish, 10:30. Okay, maybe it was like
pre-midnight.
Yeah, it was pre-midnight.
Okay.
For sure.
That's early for youngins.
For youngins back in the day. So we went to play pool. So this guy was trying to get my friend on his team to play pool because he was obviously liking her and was like, hey, let's get to know each other. So his best mate was Ash. So like I was like her bestie. So I was like, hey, us two have to end up together. Yay. So yeah, we played pool. And funnily enough, neither of us can play pool, but we won. So it's like the Lord did his work. There you go.
It's favor upon you.
Yeah, it was favor. And then we kind of just kept chatting as friends and stuff. And like this girl kept trying to organize to go out with her, and she kept bringing me along because she didn't actually like him like that. Like he was completely friend zoned. And so
sad.
because of that, it was like this guy would be like, oh, okay, you're bringing Lise. I'll get Ash to come so it's not awkward.
Yeah.
And so because he'd keep trying to chat with her, me and him just kind of ended up talking. And then 3 months down the track, we were boyfriend and girlfriend.
That's cute.
How cute is that?
So it was you guys, not the other
Yeah,
ones
the
that
other
got
one's just
together.
like, nope. So yeah, wingman, wing girl. There you go.
Wow.
What a wedding.
When did it become more than just talking to each other? Like, was there a time where you just started to like? Was there an attraction? Because it is funny that it's the wing, the wing bro and the wing chick,
Yeah,
the
totally.
wingmen that were the ones that ended up kind of having some form of a connection, as opposed to the other ones that just got that friend zoned each other.
Yeah.
Was it like, did it develop over just talking a lot, or was it just like an instant where you were like,
No.
oh, this guy's actually different to what I thought?
It definitely developed because at that stage, like I wasn't interested in anyone but the Lord.
You were dating Jesus.
I was dating Jesus because I was still freshly Christian.
Oh, yes.
So I'd gotten saved the April of that year, and this was like I'd met him in September.
Wow, cool.
So I was still like, I don't really know what the goal is. Like I knew he was Christian and all, but like, you know, I'm still a bit like,
So after 3 months, you started dating, and then how long did you guys date for until engaged?
Yeah. So we got engaged in 2010. We started dating in the end of 2007. We got engaged in 2010 and then got married November 2011. So we had an 18-month engagement.
Ah, yeah, I do remember that.
It's a long one.
Now that I think back at it doesn't seem long.
Yeah,
but like, you know, you probably were like, bro, like,
I was like, come
when?
on now. Especially when you see like some people that get engaged after 6 months or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, so is there like a time you want to get married anytime soon?
During that time, you did MTP during that time.
No, I started that after we got married, so 2012.
See, dates
So we
just doesn't sit well with me. Like everything feels like a blur.
Especially I think when you know things feel like such a long time.
That's true.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this podcast.
Yes.
Tell us about, I guess, how it started. What made you want to start a podcast? Was there any struggle? Like I can only imagine the struggles.
The struggle is real.
Yeah. Like, so maybe share with us a little bit about that.
So this is the Grace Code, which is all about unlocking Jesus in the everyday. So I'm sure you probably all know that by now because I say it constantly. But yeah, I think it was like about 18 months ago, God just planted this seed about a podcast, and I was just like, no, like I do not see myself in any form of like the public, again, air quotes. I hate my voice. I speak terribly. I'm so unqualified. I have social anxiety. I'm petrified of like public speaking. I hate being the center of attention. Like this is just straight up no. Like, you know, I was just like, no debate, nothing. Sorry, God, no. And then like it kind of came up again. I was like, if this is you, then you've got to make it happen. You like need to change my heart because it's not me. And funnily enough, he changed my heart. Hey, because here we are. But it kind of like, it's funny because situations I never thought I would be in, he put me in order to develop the qualities I would have needed to be here now. Like, you know, like leading people and having to speak to them and like in a group setting or having to jump up on a microphone and speak to people about stuff. And I'm just like, whoa, like what the heck am I doing here? But like, that's just, how I guess life happens. But yeah.
So from there, what made you change? Was it the fact that you were going through these experiences and they changed your outlook on life. And so you were more open to doing a podcast, or did you just have what changed?
That's such a great question, because I kind of sit here now like reflecting. I'm like, I would be leading people or having like really one-on-ones pastoring for people, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, that's such good advice. And I'd be like, yeah, jokingly, I'd be like, man, I'm going to start a podcast like as a joke. And they'd be like, oh my gosh,
that's a great idea.
Yes, I would listen. And I was like, where did that even come from? And then I'd remember God going, hey, remember when I told you you're going to start a podcast? And I was like, oh, that's why I'm having that weird thought again.
Yeah.
Oh, don't tell me this is happening kind of thing. So I think it was more, I didn't really have the intention to do it. But then I started having the conversations would come up. Yeah. And it would be like, hey, you should do a podcast.
So it's kind of like a constant reminder almost through every single conversation or through most conversations you had. Yeah,
it was
crazy.
Like Ash would be like, hey, remember when you were saying you were going to do a podcast? Like, this is such a great time. And then everything happened in the world that happened, which is, if I don't know when you're listening to this at the moment, but we're still in the COVID-19 like situation. And so one of my episodes, I think it's episode 0, I go into a bit more detail about like why the podcast happened now. But essentially I kind of had free time. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Positive stuff needs to be put out into the world. 100%. So now is like a better time than ever.
It's amazing when people actually say everything and their story in like little snippets. So when it comes to the business side, the spiritual side, and you can kind of put it together. And like when we look back on the journey we've had so far, it's amazing to see the development. And now that you say certain things, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so true. It's so profound, some of the lessons that we learn and the experiences that we share. So that's really good. And that's Lisa in a small nutshell, because there's so much stuff to unpack from her life and from her experiences. So
stop it.
I'm sure everyone is very happy to at least know who's behind the mic now, and they get to, I guess, relate to you on different levels now.
Yeah, well,
which is fantastic.
I'd hope so. Like, I think that's one of the keys with this whole thing was to be relatable, raw, real, 100%. You know, vulnerable, and actually go, hey, I've gone through something that you may have, or I'm going through something that you might be going through now. And I think that's so important to know that there's a community out there that is going through what you're experiencing the same thing.
And we can go through it together.
100%. Yeah. So I guess that's a wrap on this episode. So thank you, Syl, for coming.
No worries.
I'm so excited to have our listeners get to hear from you more and unpack some of your brilliant business mind.
Yes. Well, I like to think so.
And just share some of your experiences in life, because you've had a few, which I think some people will really relate to and get a lot out of, which is what we were saying kind of at the start of the show, which is, you know, we might have to go through the testing to help someone else or to stop someone else to go through that. So I think that'll be really interesting and fun and powerful to hear from you. So this is a wrap, guys. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week when we chat some more. Bye.
See ya.
Thanks so much for joining us this week on the Grace Code podcast. This show is made possible because of listeners like you. If you want to find out more about the Grace Code, head over to our Instagram at the.gracecode and say hello. If you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss an episode, and be sure to tune in next Wednesday when we drop our next show. Until then, have a beautifully blessed week.